Alright, so it's Saturday, October 20th today, so it's been almost over a week. I wasn't able to come last weekend, but just kind of looking at the condition of it, it's pretty much, just the way I left it. Everything looks nice and sealed still, and surprisingly everything held up pretty good, even though I think it rained once maybe. There's no warpage, nothing warped, everything's still nice and smooth. I have 2 coats of resin on it, and went around and sealed all the screw holes with Bondo, so actually held up pretty good. It's been out here in a element, so yeah, everything's still in good shape. Today is sanding, shaving, and sand pretty much the whole thing. I gotta sand this whole thing again. I gotta do a little curve here to roll my fiberglass over it that way, and then curve it down this way. This little piece here seems okay, but mostly it's just body work and sanding. I gotta fill in this area here a little bit, or sand it, smooth it, whatever I gotta do, but just a lot of body work, sand this stuff off here. So I'm not going to film that, it's just mostly going to be a lot of sanding, but I'll let you guys know what it looks like once I'm done. Take a look at this roof really quick. Alright, so that's what this roof looks like. I put on a lot of this silicone caulking, marine caulking, so I just gooped it up all on the bottom. Just keep, if it rains, just keep water from going inside. So it seems to work okay. This board right here is the thinnest board that I have. It seems like it held up pretty good. There's no warping. This board, since it's so thin, I can't really tell how thin it is. Well, maybe a little bit, but this board here is really thin. But this resin really protected it and kept it from warping, and kept it from absorbing moisture. I also came back and did a bead of caulking here. I'm actually gonna have to remove this. I'm gonna remove all this stuff. I just kind of threw it on there just to protect it for a couple of days while I was away. But I'm gonna have to remove this stuff because I have to fiberglass it directly onto this wood, and then down the road I'll put a bead of caulking along this way all the way up. So I gotta sand all of this stuff off. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time sanding and grinding and messing around with this thing. So I did get a bunch of heavy duty sanding belts, a couple different grade of pads, but I got some really coarse 60 grit, 40 grit. What I find that works the most efficient is these discs right here, and this is actually for metal. See the grit metal, this is actually for metal. This is for the angle grinder, but I find this thing just rips right through all that fiberglass putty that I did. This stuff just rips right through it. So I'm gonna be, I got 2 of these. These were only like $2 or $3 at Harbor Freight, so I got 2 of those, and I got a bunch of just a bunch of different sanding pads for my palm sander. As you can see, I already got this one loaded. So yeah, this, as you can see, it gets clogged. It gets clogged not very quickly, but I've had this pad for a long time actually. So just buying 2 more didn't hurt. Serious sanding done today. Utilize my time as efficient as possible rather than trying to keep sanding and sanding. For all of this sandpaper here, I think I spent like $30. $30, so that's definitely worth its weight in gold there. If it can save me a couple hours of labor, then I'll just go through them and just throw them away and just jump to the next pad. Hey guys, so it's the next morning. I actually didn't spend a whole lot of time sanding yesterday, but I did get a lot of it done yesterday. I found that just using this guy here to, you know, break down this really heavy stuff here, and then doing the really coarse sanding pad, I was able to just knock it down fairly quickly. So this is what it looks like. So I also wanted to show you what this wood has been subjected to every morning for the past 2 weeks or so. So a lot of this dew, you know, a lot of this little droplets here. So you know, the wood actually held up pretty good with the resin that I had applied, 2 coats of it. So right now there's actually less resin on it because I actually sanded a lot of this stuff down yesterday. So hopefully once this dries out, it'll, you know, it won't be warped or anything. Well, it doesn't look warped now, but if this wood would have been bare for the past several days, 2 weeks, this wood would have been all warped and in pretty bad shape. So I'm glad I did 2 layers of resin, because it really protected it from all this dew, you know, every night. And you know, it was some rain as well, precipitation and moisture and all of that stuff, you know, would really subject this wood to warpage. But you know, that resin really helped out. I'm going to continue sanding more, but this is what I was able to do yesterday. So you know, I really knocked that stuff down yesterday with the grinder, with the sandpaper grinder, and then smoothed it out with the palm sander. You know, so it came out pretty smooth, knocked down all the big parts. So, you know, obviously I still gotta do some bondo work. I won't do any more of the resin putty, you know, because that stuff is just hard to work with. But the purpose of using that was to fuse the wood together, penetrate into the wood fibers, you know, get in the grain of the wood. Whereas bondo, it'll just kind of sit on top and you can sand it down and it'll just fall off. But this stuff really penetrates the wood and really holds onto the wood. So as far as, you know, achieving that purpose, that part is done. Everything else would be just bondo, you know, filling in little crevices and voids that were left over, and that's usually a fairly quick bodywork process. With this angle grinder, I was also able to really knock down the wood. Even, you know, this thing just, you know, ate through all of the big chunks really quickly. So I'm glad I used this, even though this is intended for metal. This is not really intended for wood, but you know, it really helped out a lot because I was able to sand it down. Unfortunately, you know, I'm gonna have to do all this inside stuff by hand because I can't fit any tools in here. And ironically, this is where I just smothered it. I didn't really, you know, did a neat job here, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of sanding in here by hand, which I started yesterday. But you know, I just do a lot of sanding by hand. Luckily, most of this stuff here is bondo, not the putty, not the resin putty. This is where I got so far. I wanted to just show you this stuff too. You know, this is a lot of droplets and moisture that this wood was subjected to for a couple days, and it actually held up pretty good. Probably less so last night because I sanded it. I ended up removing a lot of the resin, but even still, it still held up pretty good.